My name is Eric Dawes, and until 3 months ago, I thought I had the perfect marriage. Funny how quickly that illusion can shatter when your wife's best friend sends you a video that makes your stomach drop to your shoes. I'm a network security analyst for Midwest General Hospital. The kind of guy who spends his days making sure hackers can't mess with patient records and his nights wondering why my wife comes home smelling like she bathed in a distillery. At 42, I've got the physique of someone who sits at a computer all day, and the optimism of someone who still believes people are basically good. That second part was about to get a reality check. Lena, my wife of 8 years, had always been the social butterfly. Real estate agent by day, party girl by night, at least on weekends. She was beautiful in that polished way that comes from expensive salon visits and a gym membership she actually used, unlike mine that mostly collected dust and monthly fees. Girls' night had become her Friday ritual about 6 months ago. She'd dress up like she was going to meet the president, spray on enough perfume to choke a horse, and disappear until the early hours of Saturday morning. When she'd finally stumble through our front door, she'd be disheveled, makeup smeared, and reeking of alcohol and cigarettes. "How was your night, honey?" I'd ask, trying to sound casual while internally cataloging the warning signs I was desperately trying to ignore. "Fine. Just had some drinks with the girls. You know how Tasha gets when she's had a few." Lena would wave me off, already heading toward our bedroom. "I'm exhausted. We'll talk in the morning." But morning never brought explanations, just hangovers, silence, and the kind of tension that makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells in your own home. Tasha Lane was Lena's best friend since college, a sharp-tongued woman who managed one of the trendy downtown clubs. She'd always been friendly to me, maybe even a little flirty, though I'd never thought much of it. Married guys learn to ignore that kind of thing, or at least pretend to. The pattern continued for months, Friday nights out, Saturday mornings of awkward silence, and an increasing distance between Lena and me that felt like a chasm growing wider every week. I started working late on Fridays, telling myself it was just to avoid the uncomfortable goodbye ritual. "You're being paranoid," I'd mutter to myself while debugging network protocols. "She's just blowing off steam. Marriage counseling exists for a reason." But deep down, in that place where your gut instincts live, I knew something was very, very wrong. The breaking point came on a rainy Friday in October. Lena had done her usual routine, the outfit that cost more than my monthly car payment, the perfume cloud, the kiss goodbye that felt more like a business transaction than affection. "Don't wait up," she'd said, checking her reflection one last time in our hallway mirror. "Tasha's having some drama with her boyfriend. Might be a long night." I'd nodded, already mentally preparing for another evening of Netflix and the kind of loneliness that feels worse when you're technically not alone. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Text message from Tasha. That was unusual. She never contacted me directly. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. "Hey Eric, sorry to bother you so late. Can you call me when you get this? It's important." I stared at the message for a full minute before dialing her number. She picked up on the first ring. "Eric, thanks for calling. Listen, this is really hard to say." Her voice sounded strained, like she'd been crying. "I'm at the club, and I need to show you something, but I don't want to do it over the phone." "What's going on? Is Lena okay?" A long pause. Physically, she's fine. "But Eric, there's something you need to know about these girls' nights. Something I should have told you months ago." My blood went cold. "What are you talking about?" "I'm sending you a video. Please, just watch it. And then call me back." The line went dead. 30 seconds later, my phone chimed with a message notification. The video was short, maybe 20 seconds, but it might as well have been a feature film for how completely it destroyed my world. The lighting was dim, typical club atmosphere, but I could clearly see my wife. She was sitting on some guy's lap at a corner booth, her arms around his neck, kissing him like her life depended on it. His hands were all over her, and she was grinding against him in a way that made it crystal clear this wasn't some drunken mistake. I watched it 3 times before my hands stopped shaking enough to call Tasha back. "I don't want to upset you," she said before I could even speak. "But your wife is sitting on a stranger and kissing him. And this isn't the first time, Eric. Every time she goes out, it's a new man. She's cheated on you so many times I can't even count anymore. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The words hit me like physical blows. "How long have you known?" "Months. Since this whole Friday night thing started. I kept telling myself it wasn't my place to interfere, that maybe it was just a phase, that she'd come to her senses." Tasha's voice cracked. "But tonight, watching her with that guy, Knowing you're at home, thinking she's just having innocent fun with her girlfriends. I couldn't keep lying to you anymore. I sat in my living room, staring at our wedding photo on the mantel, feeling like the biggest fool who ever lived. Why are you telling me this? Why now? Because... Another long pause. Because someone needs to care about you, Eric. Someone needs to tell you the truth. After I hung up, I sat in the dark for hours, watching that video over and over until I had every detail memorized. The way Lena laughed at something the guy whispered in her ear. The way she looked at him. The same way she used to look at me back when we were happy. When she finally came home at 3:30 a.m., I was waiting in the kitchen with a cup of coffee and the video queued up on my phone. "We need to talk," I said. Lena froze in the doorway when she saw me sitting at our kitchen table. Her hair was a mess, her lipstick was completely gone, and she had that guilty look of someone who'd been caught red-handed. "Eric, what are you doing up so late?" She tried to sound casual, but I could hear the edge of panic in her voice. "Funny story," I said, holding up my phone. "Tasha sent me something interesting tonight. Want to see?" The color drained from her face, but she rallied quickly. That was always Lena's strength, thinking fast under pressure. It's what made her such a good real estate agent. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, moving toward the refrigerator like this was just a normal late-night conversation. "Tasha was upset about Brad tonight. She probably sent you some drunk nonsense." "Really?" I pressed play on the video. "Because this doesn't look like nonsense to me." The sound of the club music filled our quiet kitchen, followed by the unmistakable audio of my wife moaning into some stranger's mouth. Lena's face went through about 5 different expressions in as many seconds. Shock, fear, anger, calculation, and finally defiance. "That's not what it looks like," she said, which might be the most ridiculous thing anyone has ever said while watching themselves cheat on camera. "What it looks like," I said, my voice surprisingly steady, "is my wife of 8 years grinding on some random guy like she's auditioning for a music video. What it looks like is the end of our marriage." "Eric, please. You're overreacting. I was drunk. I made a mistake." "Mistakes," I corrected. Plural. "According to Tasha, this has been going on for months. Every Friday night, Lena. Every single time you told me you were just having innocent drinks with the girls." She slammed the refrigerator door hard enough to rattle the bottles inside. "Oh, so now you're taking Tasha's word over mine? Your own wife's?" "My wife who's been lying to my face for months? Yeah, I think I am." The mask finally slipped completely. The guilty, apologetic expression disappeared, replaced by cold anger. "You want to know the truth, Eric? Fine. Yes, I've been with other men. Yes, it's been going on for months, and you know what? I don't feel guilty about it." The words hit me like a physical blow, but I kept my voice level. "Why?" "Because I'm tired of being married to a ghost," she exploded. "When's the last time we had a real conversation? When's the last time you looked up from your computer long enough to notice I exist? When's the last time you made me feel like a woman instead of a roommate who shares your bed? So this is my fault?" "I didn't say that. But Eric, we've been drifting apart for years. These Friday nights, they make me feel alive again. They make me feel desirable, wanted, exciting. And lying to me was just part of the fun?" She had the grace to look slightly ashamed at that. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Well, mission accomplished there," I said bitterly. "Nothing says I don't want to hurt you like letting me find out from your best friend." Tasha had no right. Tasha had every right. Someone needed to tell me the truth, since my wife apparently forgot how. We stared at each other across our kitchen island, 8 years of marriage crumbling between us like a house of cards in an earthquake. "So what now?" Lena asked finally. "Now? Now I call a divorce lawyer. Now I figure out how to split up a life I thought was real, but was apparently just an elaborate lie. Eric, wait. Maybe we can work this out. Marriage counseling or... Work it out?" I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to my own ears. "Lena, you just told me you don't feel guilty about cheating on me, multiple times, with multiple men. What exactly are we supposed to work out?" She didn't have an answer for that. Or maybe she did, but she was smart enough to know I wouldn't want to hear it. "I'll sleep in the guest room tonight," she said finally. "We can talk about logistics in the morning." After she left, I sat alone in our kitchen, staring at my phone. The video was still paused on the screen, frozen on an image of my wife kissing another man. I deleted it and immediately regretted it. Evidence, I thought. I should have kept it as evidence. But then I remembered that Tasha had sent it to me. She probably still had it. I found her contact information and typed out a message. "Thank you for telling me the truth. I know it couldn't have been easy. Can I ask you something, though? Why did you really do this? Why now? Her response came faster than I expected. Can we meet tomorrow? There's more I need to tell you. Things about Lena that you deserve to know. More? I thought I'd already heard the worst possible news. What could be worse than finding out your wife has been systematically cheating on you for months? I was about to find out. The next morning, I met Tasha at a small coffee shop downtown, far from our usual neighborhood haunts. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept much either. Thank you for meeting me, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. I know this is awkward. Awkward doesn't begin to cover it, I said. But I need to understand what's been happening. Lena says this has been going on for months, but you make it sound like it's been even longer. Tasha wrapped her hands around her coffee mug like she was trying to warm herself. Eric, I need to tell you something, and I need you to hear me out before you react, okay? Okay. I've been in love with you for years. I blinked. What? Since college. Since before you and Lena got together. I introduced you two at that party, remember? I thought maybe if you got to know her, you'd see that she wasn't right for you. Instead, you fell for her. I sat back in my seat, trying to process this information. Tasha, I had no idea. I know, I made sure you didn't. But watching you marry her, watching her treat you like you don't matter, it's been killing me for years. So you told me about the cheating because you want to break us up? No. She leaned forward, her eyes intense. Eric, I told you because you deserve better. You deserve the truth. You deserve someone who appreciates what an amazing man you are. And you think that someone is you? She looked down at her coffee. I think that someone could be me, if you'd let it. I stared at her. This woman I'd known for years, but apparently never really seen. She was attractive, not in Lena's polished, high-maintenance way, but in a more natural, approachable way. She had kind eyes and a smile that seemed genuine, not calculated. Tasha, I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. Say that after you get through this mess with Lena, you'll consider giving us a chance. This is a lot to process. I know, and I'm not asking you to make any decisions right now. I'm just asking you to know that when you're ready, when you've healed from all this, there's someone who's been waiting for you, someone who sees how special you are. We sat in silence for a few minutes, both lost in our own thoughts. There's something else, she said finally. About Lena, about why I finally decided to tell you. What? She's not just cheating, Eric. She's been talking about you, to these men, to our mutual friends. Saying things. My stomach dropped. What kind of things? That you're boring, that you're bad in bed, that she's only staying married to you for the financial security. Tasha's voice was gentle, but the words still cut deep. Last Friday, I heard her telling that guy from the video that she was thinking about leaving you anyway, that she was just waiting for the right opportunity. The betrayal felt complete now. It wasn't just the physical cheating, it was the emotional cruelty, the public humiliation, the complete disrespect for everything we'd built together. I'm sorry, Tasha said. I know that hurts to hear. No, I needed to hear it. I needed to know exactly who I've been married to. So what are you going to do? I thought about it for a long moment. I'm going to file for divorce. And then I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly who Lena really is. The next few weeks passed in a blur of lawyers, paperwork, and the kind of awkward conversations you have when you're dismantling a life you spent 8 years building. Lena had moved out of our house and was staying with her sister, which made things easier but also more final. My divorce attorney, a sharp-eyed woman named Patricia Collins, had been reassuringly blunt about my situation. The good news is that Illinois is a no-fault divorce state, so her adultery doesn't technically matter for the legal proceedings, she'd explained during our first meeting. The bad news is that you're probably looking at splitting assets 50-50 regardless of her behavior. What about the house? You'll likely have to sell it and split the proceeds, unless one of you can afford to buy out the other's half. I'd bought that house with dreams of filling it with children and growing old with someone who loved me. Now it felt like a mausoleum for a marriage that had been dead longer than I'd realized. Tasha had been incredibly supportive through the whole process, but she'd also been careful not to push too hard too fast. She'd text me occasionally to check in, invite me for coffee when I seemed particularly down, and listen when I needed to vent about the latest legal complications. How are you holding up? She asked during one of our coffee meetings, about 3 weeks after the initial confrontation. Some days better than others, I admitted. It's weird how quiet the house is now. I thought I'd be relieved, but mostly I just feel empty. That's normal. A grief isn't just for death. It's for any major loss. You're mourning the end of your marriage, even if it was the right decision. Did you study psychology along with business management? She smiled. My mom was a therapist. I picked up a few things. Speaking of picking up things, I said, I've been thinking about what you said. About us. Her expression became more serious. And? I'm not ready yet. I need to get through this divorce, figure out who I am as a single person again. But when I am ready, I'd like to see where this could go. The smile that spread across her face was radiant. I've waited this long. I can wait a little longer. That's when my phone rang. Lena's name appeared on the screen. I should take this, I told Tasha, who nodded and went to get us fresh coffee. Hello, Lena. Eric, we need to talk. In person. I don't think that's a good idea. Anything you need to say can go through our lawyers. It's not about the divorce. It's about Tasha. I felt a chill run down my spine. What about her? Meet me at Riverside Park in an hour. Come alone. The line went dead. Tasha returned with our coffee and immediately noticed my expression. Everything okay? Lena wants to meet. She says it's about you. About me? What could she possibly? Tasha's face went pale. Oh, no. What? Eric, there's something I didn't tell you. Something about why I really sent you that video when I did. The chill in my spine spread to the rest of my body. What are you talking about? Lena found out about my feelings for you. She confronted me at the club last Friday, said she knew I'd been trying to break you two up for years. Have you been? No, I mean, not actively. I never interfered in your marriage, never tried to seduce you or cause problems. But Eric, she threatened me. She said if I ever told you about the cheating, she'd make sure everyone knew I was obsessed with you, that I'd been stalking you, trying to destroy your marriage out of jealousy. So you told me anyway? Because watching her humiliate you was worse than whatever she might do to me. But Eric, if she's calling you now, if she wants to meet, she's going to try to discredit everything you told me. Exactly. I stood up, my mind racing. I need to hear what she has to say. Eric, don't. It's a trap. Whatever she tells you, she's going to try to make you think I manipulated you into leaving her. Maybe you did. The words came out harsher than I'd intended, and I immediately regretted them when I saw the hurt flash across Tasha's face. You really think that? She asked quietly. I don't know what to think anymore. 2 months ago, I thought I had a happy marriage. Now I find out my wife's been cheating on me and my friend has been in love with me for years. Everything I thought I knew about my life was apparently wrong. Eric, I understand you're confused and hurt, but please don't let her twist this around. The video is real. The cheating is real. My feelings for you are real, but they didn't create this situation. They just gave me the courage to tell you the truth about it. I looked at her sitting there, this woman who claimed to love me, and felt a wave of doubt wash over me. How well did I really know anyone? I have to go, I said. Eric, please. I'll call you later. I left her sitting in the coffee shop and drove to Riverside Park, my mind churning with possibilities. Was Tasha telling the truth about everything? Had she manipulated me into destroying my marriage? Was Lena about to reveal some crucial piece of information that would change everything? Lena was waiting for me at our old spot by the pond, the place where I'd proposed to her 6 years earlier. She looked different somehow. Smaller, less polished than usual. She'd been crying. Thank you for coming, she said as I approached. What do you want, Lena? To apologize, and to tell you the truth about Tasha. I'm listening. She's been obsessed with you since college, Eric. Obsessed. She's the one who introduced us, but only because she thought if you dated me and it didn't work out, you'd turn to her. That's not what happened. No, because we fell in love. Real love. And she's hated me for it ever since. I crossed my arms. Get to the point. She's been sabotaging our marriage for years. Little things at first. Encouraging me to go out more, introducing me to wilder friends, pushing me toward behaviors that she knew would drive us apart. Are you seriously trying to blame Tasha for your cheating? I'm not excusing what I did. The cheating was my choice, my mistake. But Eric, she orchestrated the whole thing. She's the one who suggested these Friday night outings. She's the one who introduced me to most of these men. She's been playing a long game, waiting for me to self-destruct so she could swoop in and comfort you. I stared at my wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife, trying to read the truth in her face. Even if that's true, it doesn't change what you did. No, it doesn't. But Eric, please don't let her win. Don't let her destroy what we had just so she can have you. What we had was destroyed the moment you decided to cheat on me, multiple times, with multiple men. I know, and I hate myself for it. But I love you, Eric. I've always loved you, even when I was making terrible decisions. Can't we try to work this out? Can't we go to counseling, Try to rebuild what we had? For a moment, looking at her tear-streaked face, I almost wavered. This was the woman I'd promised to love for better or worse. This was the woman I'd planned to grow old with. But then I remembered the video. I remembered her grinding against that stranger, kissing him like she meant it. I remembered her telling me she didn't feel guilty about it. No, I said, we can't. Because of her. Because of you. Because of what you did. Because of how you treated me. How you talked about me to other people. Because you destroyed something that can't be rebuilt. Eric, please. We're done, Lena. The divorce papers will be final in a few weeks, and then we never have to see each other again. I turned to walk away, but her voice stopped me. She won't make you happy, you know. She's been playing a character for years, being the perfect supportive friend while secretly working to destroy your marriage. When she gets what she wants, when she doesn't have to pretend anymore, you'll see who she really is. Maybe, I said without turning around, but at least she won't be someone who cheats on me and then tries to blame everyone else for it. I left her crying by the pond and drove home, my head spinning with competing narratives and conflicting emotions. Was Tasha a manipulative schemer who had orchestrated the destruction of my marriage? Was Lena a serial cheater trying to deflect blame for her own actions? Was I just a pawn in some elaborate game between two women who both claimed to love me? There was only one way to find out the truth. I spent the weekend alone in my house, going through old photos and trying to piece together the timeline of my marriage's decline. When had Lena started staying out late? When had she become distant and defensive? When had Tasha started being more present in our lives? The more I thought about it, the more I realized that both women might be telling partial truths. Lena had definitely cheated. I had video evidence of that. But had Tasha really been orchestrating it all along? Monday morning, I decided to do what I do best: investigate. I'm a network security analyst, which means I'm professionally paranoid and very good at finding information people don't want found. I started with social media. Lena's Facebook and Instagram accounts told an interesting story when viewed chronologically. The photos from our early marriage showed a happy couple doing normal couple things. But starting about 2 years ago, there was a shift. More photos of girls' nights out. More pictures with Tasha. More shots of Lena looking glamorous and single despite wearing a wedding ring. Tasha's social media was more subtle, but equally revealing. She rarely posted photos of herself with men, despite being an attractive single woman who managed a popular nightclub. Her posts about relationships were often bitter or cynical, and there were a lot of photos of group outings that included Lena, but not me. Then I found something interesting. A photo from Lena's bachelorette party 8 years ago. In the background, barely visible, was Tasha talking to a man I didn't recognize. The expression on her face was intense, almost angry. I zoomed in as much as possible, but couldn't make out what was happening. I decided to call Jake Morrison, my best friend from college and the only person I knew who had been at both Lena's bachelorette party and our wedding. Eric, how are you holding up, man? Jake's voice was warm with concern. I heard about the divorce. I'm sorry. Thanks. Listen, I need to ask you something about the old days. Do you remember Lena's bachelorette party? Vaguely. Why? Do you remember anything unusual happening? Anything involving Tasha? There was a long pause. That's a weird question. Why are you asking? Just trying to understand some things about how this all went wrong. Please, Jake. It's important. Another pause. Okay, but this stays between us, right? Of course. Tasha got really drunk that night. Like blackout drunk. She kept saying things about how you were making a mistake, how Lena wasn't good enough for you. At one point, she cornered me and said she was going to object during the wedding ceremony. My blood went cold. She said what? She was wasted, Eric. People say stupid things when they're drunk. I didn't think much of it at the time. Did she actually object at the wedding? No, she was perfectly behaved. Gave a nice maid of honor speech, smiled for all the photos. I figured she'd just been having a bad night. After I hung up, I sat staring at my phone for a long time. The picture that was emerging was complicated and ugly. Tasha had been in love with me for years, had apparently objected to my marriage from the beginning, but had hidden it well. Lena had been unfaithful, but maybe she'd been pushed toward it by someone who wanted our marriage to fail. I needed more information. That evening, I drove to Tasha's club. It was a Tuesday night, so it wasn't too busy. I found her in her office, going over inventory reports. Eric. She looked surprised, but pleased to see me. I wasn't expecting you. How did the meeting with Lena go? Interesting, I said, closing the door behind me. She had some things to say about you. Tasha's expression became guarded. I can imagine. What kind of things? She says you've been sabotaging our marriage for years, that you introduced her to the men she cheated with, that you orchestrated this whole thing to break us up. And you believe her? I don't know what to believe anymore, but I did some research and I found some interesting information. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo from the bachelorette party. Jake Morrison told me you got drunk that night and said you were going to object at our wedding, that you thought Lena wasn't good enough for me. Tasha stared at the photo for a long moment, then sighed deeply. I was hoping you'd never find out about that. So it's true? The part about me being drunk and saying stupid things? Yes. The part about me orchestrating your wife's infidelity? No. Then explain it to me. Help me understand what's been happening. She gestured for me to sit down, then poured herself a drink from a bottle she kept in her desk drawer. You want one? I'm driving. Right. She took a sip and looked at me with tired eyes. Eric, I've been in love with you since we were 20 years old. You know that now. What you don't know is how hard it's been to watch you marry someone who doesn't appreciate you. So you decided to break us up? No. I decided to be your friend and hoped that someday, somehow, things would work out differently. But Eric, I never had to sabotage your marriage. Lena did that all by herself. But you did introduce her to those men. Some of them, yes, because they're customers at my club, and she asked me to introduce her. Eric, your wife started flirting with other men about 2 years ago. At first, I thought it was just harmless fun. Married people sometimes flirt, it doesn't mean anything, but then it escalated. And you didn't tell me. Would you have believed me if I'd come to you 2 years ago and said, "Hey, I think your wife is flirting with other men"? What would you have thought? She was right, and we both knew it. I would have thought she was jealous and trying to cause trouble. But when it became actual cheating, Tasha continued, when I saw her taking men home, I couldn't stay silent anymore. That's when I sent you the video. So you're saying Lena is lying about you orchestrating everything? I'm saying she's trying to deflect blame for her own choices. Yes, I've been in love with you for years. Yes, I've hoped your marriage would end so I could have a chance with you. But no, I didn't cause your wife to cheat on you. She did that all by herself. I studied her face, looking for signs of deception. How do I know you're telling the truth? Because I'm not asking you to choose me over her. I'm asking you to choose yourself over both of us. What do you mean? Eric, forget about me for a minute. Forget about my feelings. Forget about the possibility of us being together. Just focus on this. Do you want to be married to someone who cheated on you multiple times and then tried to blame other people for her choices? It was a fair question, and the answer was obvious. No, I said. Then proceed with the divorce. Figure out who you are as a single person. And if, someday down the road, you decide you want to explore what we could be together, I'll be here. But if you don't, if you decide you'd rather be alone or find someone else entirely, I'll respect that too. And if I choose someone else, you won't try to sabotage that relationship? She looked hurt by the question, but answered it seriously. Eric, I've spent years watching you be happy with someone else. If that's what it takes for you to be happy, then that's what I want for you. I believed her. Maybe I was being naive. Maybe I was letting my emotions cloud my judgment, but I believed her. Okay, I said. I believe you. Thank you. But I need some time. This whole situation is messed up, and I need to get my head straight before I make any decisions about anything. I understand. I stood to leave, then turned back. Tasha, when this is all over, when the divorce is final and I've had time to process everything, ask me out properly, like a real date. The smile that spread across her face was worth all the confusion and heartache of the past few weeks. I will, she said. As I drove home, I felt lighter than I had in months. The divorce was still going to be painful and expensive. I was still going to have to rebuild my life from scratch. But for the first time since this whole mess started, I felt like I had a future to look forward to. I was wrong about that, though, because Lena wasn't done fighting, and she was about to make things much more complicated. The divorce papers were supposed to be final on a Thursday in November. I'd taken the day off work, planning to celebrate my freedom with a quiet dinner and maybe a movie. Instead, I got a phone call that changed everything. Eric Dawes? The voice was unfamiliar, professional. Speaking. This is Detective Sarah Martinez with the Chicago Police Department. I need to ask you some questions about your relationship with Tasha Lane. My blood went cold. What's happened? Is she okay? She's fine, sir, but she's been arrested on charges of harassment and stalking. Your name came up in the investigation. Arrested? That's impossible. What are the charges exactly? I'd prefer to discuss this in person. Can you come to the station? An hour later, I was sitting in a sterile interview room, trying to process what Detective Martinez was telling me. According to the complaint filed by your wife, Ex-wife, I corrected. According to Mrs. Dawes, Ms. Lane has been harassing her for months, threatening phone calls, following her to work, vandalizing her car. Mrs. Dawes says it escalated after you filed for divorce. That's ridiculous. Tasha wouldn't do any of those things. You seem very certain of that. I am. Detective, my wife cheated on me. Tasha was the one who told me about it. This is obviously retaliation. Detective Martinez consulted her notes. Mrs. Dawes provided us with some interesting evidence. Phone records showing dozens of calls from Ms. Lane's number to her personal cell phone, all at odd hours. Security footage from her office building showing someone matching Ms. Lane's description following her. And photographs of damage to her vehicle that occurred in the parking garage of Ms. Lane's nightclub. Have you talked to Tasha about this? She denies all the charges, says she's being framed. Because she is being framed. Mr. Dawes, I understand you're emotionally involved in this situation, but the evidence is pretty compelling. I thought about what Tasha had said about Lena trying to discredit her. Detective, what exactly is Lena claiming happened? She says Ms. Lane has been obsessed with you for years and has been systematically trying to destroy your marriage so she could have you for herself. She says the harassment started about 6 months ago, around the time you began having marital problems. And she just decided to report this now, after our divorce was finalized? She says she was afraid to report it earlier because she thought it would make your marital problems worse. I almost laughed at the absurdity of it. Detective, 6 months ago I didn't even know my wife was cheating. I had no idea Tasha had feelings for me. How could she have been harassing Lena about me when I wasn't even involved? That's what we're trying to figure out. Can I see the evidence? Detective Martinez hesitated, then pulled out a file. I suppose it's not confidential since you're mentioned in the complaint. She showed me printouts of phone records. Dozens of calls from Tasha's number to Lena's phone, mostly late at night or early in the morning. Then photographs of Lena's car with the tires slashed and "stay away from him" keyed into the paint. Finally, grainy security footage that showed a woman with dark hair following Lena through a parking garage. This is all fake, I said immediately. That's a serious accusation, Mr. Dawes. Detective, I work in network security. I know how easy it is to fake phone records, especially if you have access to someone's account information. And that security footage? You can barely see the person's face. It could be anyone. What about the vandalism to the car? What about it? Anyone could have done that. Anyone who wanted to make it look like Tasha was stalking Lena. Detective Martinez looked skeptical. You're suggesting your ex-wife vandalized her own car and faked phone records to frame Ms. Lane? I'm suggesting my ex-wife is a real estate agent who's very good at manipulating situations to get what she wants. And what she wants is to destroy Tasha's credibility so I won't believe anything she says. Why would she care? You're already divorced. That was a good question, and I thought about it for a moment. Because she's hoping we can reconcile. She asked me to try marriage counseling, to work things out. When I said no, when I made it clear that I was moving on with my life, she must have decided to eliminate what she sees as the competition. That's a pretty elaborate scheme. Detective, my ex-wife once convinced a seller to accept an offer that was $50,000 lower than asking price by staging a fake bidding war with fictional buyers. Trust me, this is not beyond her capabilities. Detective Martinez made some notes. Is there anything else you can tell me that might be relevant? Yes. Tasha told me that Lena threatened her months ago. Said she'd make trouble if Tasha ever told me about the cheating. This is exactly the kind of trouble she was talking about. Do you have any proof of that conversation? No, but you could check Tasha's phone records from around that time. See if there are any calls between them that would corroborate her story. We'll look into it. Detective, how long is Tasha going to be held? She's already been released on bail. But Mr. Dawes, I have to advise you to stay away from both women until this gets sorted out. If you're seen with Ms. Lane, it could be interpreted as witness tampering, and if you contact your ex-wife, it could be seen as harassment. Understood. I left the police station feeling like I was trapped in some kind of nightmare. Everything good that had come out of the destruction of my marriage was now being systematically destroyed by Lena's need for revenge. My phone rang as I was getting into my car. Tasha. Eric, thank God. Are you okay? I'm fine. Are you? I've been better. Did you talk to the police? Just finished. Tasha, this is obviously fake, right? You didn't actually do any of the things Lena is claiming? There was a pause that lasted just a beat too long. Eric, I need to tell you something. My heart sank. What? I did call her, a few times, but not to harass her, to try to convince her to stop cheating on you. When? Months ago, when I first found out what she was doing. I thought if I talked to her, if I explained how much she was hurting you, she might stop. And she told me to mind my own business and threatened to destroy my reputation if I ever contacted you about it. What about the other stuff? Following her, vandalizing her car? I never did any of that. Eric, you have to believe me. I wanted to believe her, but the doubt was creeping in again. The phone calls you made. What did you say exactly? I told her I knew what she was doing. I told her she was going to destroy you if she kept it up. I told her she didn't deserve you. How many calls? I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 over the course of a few weeks. Tasha, the police have records showing dozens of calls. That's impossible. I only called her a handful of times, and that was months ago. So either you're lying to me, or Lena somehow faked the phone records. Eric, I swear to you, I'm telling the truth. I believed her. Or at least, I wanted to believe her badly enough that I was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. Okay, what do we do now? I don't know. My lawyer says if Lena doesn't drop the charges, this could go to trial. Even if I'm acquitted, the publicity could ruin my business. We need to prove she's lying. How? I thought about it. Leave that to me. I'm good at finding evidence. Eric, the detective told you to stay away from both of us. The detective told me not to contact either of you directly. She didn't say anything about investigating on my own. Be careful. I will. After I hung up, I sat in my car for a long time, thinking. Lena had made a tactical error by involving the police. Once law enforcement gets involved, everything becomes a matter of public record. And public records, unlike private communications, are very hard to fake convincingly. I drove home and fired up my computer. It was time to do what I do best, dig into the digital evidence and find the truth. What I found was going to surprise everyone, including me. I spent the next 3 days doing the kind of deep dive digital investigation that had made me good at my job. Phone records, security footage, financial transactions. Everything leaves a digital footprint if you know where to look. The first breakthrough came when I analyzed the phone records Lena had provided to the police. I've seen a lot of legitimate phone company records in my line of work, and these had several subtle inconsistencies that suggested they'd been doctored. The formatting was slightly off, the timestamps didn't align properly with the carrier's standard practices, and there were metadata anomalies that indicated the files had been edited. The second breakthrough came when I accessed the security footage from Lena's office building. As someone who regularly works with surveillance systems, I was able to request the original files rather than the compressed versions Lena had provided to police. What I found was interesting. The timestamp on the stalking footage showed it was recorded on a day when Tasha had been in court for a business licensing hearing, something I could verify through public records. But the real smoking gun came when I decided to check Lena's financial records. As part of our divorce proceedings, both of our accounts had been made available to our respective lawyers. What I found there made everything clear. 3 weeks ago, Lena had paid $5,000 to something called Digital Solutions LLC. A little more digging revealed that Digital Solutions was a company that specialized in creating fake digital evidence for divorce proceedings, the kind of service that people use when they want to frame their ex-spouse for domestic violence or harassment. I had everything I needed. Friday morning, I called Detective Martinez. Detective, this is Eric Dawes. I have some information about the Tasha Lane case that I think you'll find interesting. What kind of information? The kind that proves my ex-wife fabricated all the evidence against Tasha. An hour later, I was back in the police station, this time with a laptop full of evidence and a very different story to tell. These phone records are fake, I explained, showing Detective Martinez the metadata analysis. The formatting is wrong, the timestamps are inconsistent, and the files show clear signs of digital manipulation. You're certain about this? I'm a network security analyst, Detective. This is what I do for a living. These records were created by someone who knows enough about phone systems to make a convincing fake, but not enough to avoid the technical mistakes that give them away. What about the security footage? Also fake. The timestamp shows this was recorded on a day when Tasha was in court. I have the public records to prove it, and if you look at the metadata, you can see that the video was edited to splice in footage of someone who looks like Tasha but isn't actually her. Detective Martinez was taking notes furiously. And you can prove all of this? I can prove all of this, but more importantly, I can prove who paid to have it created. I showed her the financial records. 3 weeks ago, Lena paid $5,000 to a company that specializes in creating fake digital evidence. I have their website, their service descriptions, and the bank records showing the transaction. This is... Detective Martinez shook her head. This is one of the most elaborate false reporting cases I've ever seen. What happens now? Now I arrest your ex-wife for filing a false police report, perjury, and harassment, and Ms. Lane's charges get dropped immediately. Good. Mr. Dawes, I have to ask, how did you get access to your ex-wife's financial records? They were part of our divorce proceedings. Both parties have to disclose all assets and transactions. She probably forgot about the payment to Digital Solutions when she authorized the financial disclosure. Detective Martinez smiled grimly. People always forget about the paper trail. 2 hours later, I was sitting in Tasha's office at the club, watching her cry with relief as her lawyer called to tell her the charges had been dropped. It's over? She asked. It's over, I said. Lena's been arrested for filing false police reports. Her lawyer will push for a guilty plea to dodge worse charges. I can't believe she went that far. I can. She's cornered. Reputation destroyed, marriage done, facing a total restart at 40. Desperation makes people reckless. What happens now? Probation and community service if she pleads, jail if she fights. Tasha wiped her eyes. Eric, I need to ask, do you think less of me? For those calls to her? For meddling in your marriage? I considered it. You made poor choices, but you were trying to shield me from someone hurting me. Bad methods, good heart. That's enough? Compared to months of cheating and trying to frame you for stalking, a few angry calls are nothing. She smiled through tears. So, us? I rounded her desk and offered my hand. Tasha Lane, will you have dinner with me tomorrow night? A proper date, no crisis attached? She took my hand and stood. Eric Dawes, I'd love to. Good. You've waited 8 years. I'm done making you wait. I kissed her, warm, real, electric. Nothing like the empty pecs from Lena. Worth the wait? She asked. Ask me in 6 months. But right now, absolutely. 6 months later, in the same park where Lena once tried to poison me against Tasha, I dropped to one knee. It's fast, I admitted. Only 6 months dating, but I've wasted years with the wrong person. I won't waste a day not being with the right one. The ring was simple, elegant, perfect for Tasha. Marry me? Yes, she laughed, tears spilling. Yes, 1,000 times, yes. As I slid it on her finger, I marveled at the difference. A year ago, I thought I was happy. Now I actually was. Lena pleaded guilty. 2 years probation, community service. She moved out of state, trying to rebuild. I hope she learned something. I truly do. Tasha and I are planning a small spring wedding. Jake's my best man. No objections expected this time. The sweetest revenge isn't schemes or humiliation. It's simply living well, finding real happiness, and building a life with someone who's always deserved you, and who, if you're lucky, waited patiently until you finally saw it.